Hey everybody, Mitch Tram here. Today I'm going to take you through the disassembly and cleaning of the Luz INS series of Inshore speed spool reels. These are great reels. I've had this reel about 3 years and it's been in the salt water extensively. It's been dunked multiple times and it's unfortunately I dunked it one time in the surf and it got dragged in the sand, and the next day it wouldn't even reel, and cleaning it brought it back to life. So like I said, it's been a fantastic reel, and there wasn't a video on YouTube on how to clean and disassemble this thing, so I'm going to take you through step by step how we get this reel cleaned up and ready to go. Alright, let's get started. Okay, so you're going to need like a Phillips head screwdriver, and you're going to need a wrench. And I think that's it. I do have a couple more tools here just in case, but as I remember, I think that's it. So I'm going to take the spool off first. So that just is where the drag is here, right? We're just going to loosen this up. And that'll get your spool off. And I'll just set these aside over here. And I'm going to take the handle off. So we just unscrew that here. And that comes off. And I'm just going to set that over here. Now, we have a screw right here that needs to come off and a nut. So I have to take these two pieces off first. So I'm just going to pull those off right there. They just slide straight off. Set them down here. And then we're going to remove this screw, which will allow us to take this washer off, and then we can unscrew this nut. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Take that screw off and just set it down there. I've got a tray here that I keep everything in, which is really a good idea to have that. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen this. Now it won't come off completely until you remove another screw that's further down in there, and I'm going to show you that. So now we're taking this screw off, and it would actually be better if you had something better than a crescent wrench, a wrench that fit that. I'm not doing probably as I should. The crescent wrench always works well for me, but ideally you would use an actual wrench that fit that perfectly. Alright, so I went ahead and loosened that up, and this washer will come off right there, and this washer and this little screw that we just removed is what keeps this nut from loosening up. So by loosening that, this allows the bell piece to come loose right here, which is needed in order to take off this side panel right here, which gets us to the gears and everything that we need to clean up. So we're going to take out these three screws, this screw right here, this screw right here, and this little screw right here in the back. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And they're all Phillips head. You just use a small Phillips head screwdriver to do this. And I'm just going to set them down here as I take them out. There they are. And now this side panel will come off. And the side panel here, you see there is a rubber gasket there. This reel is partially water resistant, but it's not waterproof. If you drop it in the water, water will get in it. And you can see there is a bearing right here. So that's one of our bearings that we want to lube up and clean. And then inside the housing here, we have our main gear right here, which will come off if you just work it a little bit. There it is. So there is the main gear that engages right here. And I've cleaned this reel recently, so it still has quite a bit of lube in it. But for the gears themselves, you would want to clean all the old lube off And to clean the old lube off, a couple different ways you can do this. You can use like a rag or something, but I like Q-tips to get down in there and get that old lube and the gunk off of it. And the same thing right in here. Now, to remove this piece right here that the bell connects to, and the drag and everything, the spool, you have to remove this tiny little screw right there. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. There's that tiny little screw. And once you do that, then we have the piston that our spool connects to, and we can set that down. There's your bail, and there is a little washer in here, so you have to be careful not to lose that little washer. So I typically just set this upside down over here, just kind of out of the way with that washer in it so I don't lose it. And then here you have 3 more screws right here, and this gets us into this housing right here. And this is just another shield that's supposed to provide some water resistance. And like I said, it does a good job. And this reel has been a great reel. It's been one of my best spinning reels as far as salt's concerned, because I'm not easy on my equipment. I do take care of it and I do clean it. But when I'm on the water, it's not uncommon for something to get dunked or get splashed on or beat around. But I do make sure I take care of it when I get back. So really, like I said, kind of a splash guard more than anything else. It is 2 pieces that come apart. This piece right here sets inside of this piece, and it covers up this bearing area, providing some level of seal and splash resistance. And then here you can see another bearing, and you have this gear mechanism. So this all comes out and can be cleaned as well. And like I said, I typically use like paper towels or Q-tips to get all the old gunk off, and then we re-grease all of that. And from a grease standpoint, depending on what you want to do, you can use real butter for the bearings. I typically spray my bearings with Corrosion X. So I get in the salt water quite a bit, and this provides great resistance to corrosion and rust. So I typically spray all my bearings with the Corrosion X. But like I said, the Ardent Real Butter or any low viscosity real oil is also great from a performance standpoint. So we pretty much have the reel disassembled at this point. You have this little piece right here that slides back and forth, and it's kind of hard to see, but that piece right there is what connects onto our piston here. So our piston slides through that little hole right there and connects on to that piece right there. So you would just clean all this up. You can take that out, clean it all up. It has a little groove, which is a little bit difficult to see. A little groove right there that fits onto this gear and provides the piston action moving back and forth like this. So what happened to me is when this thing really got dunked, this got all gunked up, and when you try to reel, it was really tough. So I had to clean all the gunk out of here. And this is on a bearing as well, so you can remove that screw to get to that bearing as well. But we do have it completely disassembled, and I wanted to take you through the disassembly, and I'm going to reassemble it now. But I wanted to take you through that because it wasn't online and I had to figure this out on my own, which wasn't terribly difficult, but it is a little daunting, as many different options as there are, or not options, but as many different little screws and things as there are in this reel. Okay, so I'm going to put this piece back in, and that just slides in right here. And once I have that piece in, kind of the barrel here, then we're going to put our plastic ring and cover that provides some of that water resistance back on here. And you'll notice it has a little lip right here. The lip goes up and the inset area goes down. So there's like a little inset, and I don't know if you can see that, but like a little inset piece, and that goes down in here. And then we're just going to line the screws up, or the screw holes I should say, and we're going to put these little long screws back in here. Get that started. See if I can get them all started here, and then we'll tighten them up. And like I said, I would either put some light viscosity oil on this bearing or some of the corrosion X on it. Like I said, since I'm in saltwater a lot, I always use the corrosion X. It provides great protection. I highly recommend it. Okay. All right. As we continue with our reassembly, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put our bail back on, which requires our piston and our washer and bolt. So this is something that a lot of people forget, and this is one of the problems. You take it apart and when you put it back together, you get it halfway back together, and then, oh man, I forgot to put the bolt on, and now it won't go over, or the nut on, and it won't go over the piston here, right? So what we're going to do is we want to make sure that we put our bail on first. So we're just going to line this up. And when you put your bail on, something I forgot to mention is you do have this little washer right here. And this is a stepped washer, so one side of it is taller and inset, and that side that's taller and inset, it's kind of like a T, so to speak, that goes down so that it mates on top of this bearing and allows this bearing to spin well. So that stepped part goes down, and then we take our bail and fit it, and we take our nut right there and we make sure we put that on our piston, right? Because that's the only way it can get there. And then once we do that, we want to make sure that we're lined up where it fits in right here. So it fits in right there into this gear. And then, see right there? And then we're going to take our little tiny screw and tighten it back up right there. At this point, you'll want to grease this gear right here, and also don't forget to put a little bit of light viscosity oil on that bearing down in there, that bearing that's right here. Or once again, you could use your corrosion X. I'm going to take just a little bit of my real butter and kind of put on this gear right here, and you can put a little on this gear as well, and then go ahead and fit that gear back down right here. Now this gear also has a little washer on it. It's a super thin, little bitty washer, and that washer goes on the gear, and that washer mates up against this bearing to keep that bearing turning very smoothly, so it's not riding directly up against this gear. So we'll go ahead and take our side plate and put that on, and it just snaps into place nice and easy. And there we go. I didn't have the gear quite all the way down, and we'll we'll snap this into place nice and easy. And then we've got our 2 large screws we put in here, and our 1 small screw. And then we'll tighten these screws down. So we'll tighten down our small screw right here. And then one of our larger screws. They're all small screws, but these are a little bit larger than that one. And we'll make sure that our bell is mated very well there. And we'll tighten down this nut right there. And then you'll use your wrench to make sure it's good and tight. Don't over tighten it. It is a brass nut or a brass bolt that this nut is tightening down on, so you don't want to over tighten it, just enough. There we go. And then we take our lock nut, which slides over and fits on top, or the nut fits inside it, I should say. And then we have our screw that holds it in place, and that keeps it from loosening up. So we'll go ahead and take our screw right there, and we will tighten this down. There we go. So that just keeps this nut from loosening up. Now, the bell itself, you might want to lubricate this as well. You can actually take these screws off and get in there. There are springs in there, so you want to be careful when you do that. Typically, I just add a little bit of my real butter just to the edge of it and let it seep down in there. Like that. Like that. Work it in. But you can very easily, you can loosen this up, and you need a little larger Phillips screwdriver for that. Very easily, you can loosen this up a little bit to give yourself a little bit of play like that. I wouldn't take it completely off because, like I said, there are springs in there, and that lets you get your lubricant in there just a little bit better. And you can do that on both sides. I'll go ahead and do this side as well, might as well. So I'm not going to take it completely out, just enough to open it up to where I can put a couple drops in there, and then we're going to tighten it back down. And like I said, if you were to get sand or something in there, you might need to take it completely apart, but very nice. Now, we just take these 2 pieces right here, this little rubber washer and this little gear, and we're going to slide these back down on there, and there's actually 2 of these. And the gear itself is keyed to that right there. And then you take these little drag like washers, you slide them down, take your spool, put your spool back on, tighten up your drag nut just a little bit, put your handle on, right or left, what do you prefer? I'm right-handed, so I put my handle on the left, since that's how you do spinning reels. And I will go ahead and tighten down that nut. And there we go. Nice and smooth. Like I said, been a heck of a good reel. 3 years old. When I take a spinning reel out, I take this reel out 9 times out of 10. It has lots and lots of hours on it. and it's just been a fantastic reel. Like I said, there wasn't a video out there on how to disassemble and clean this thing, so I thought I'll put one out there. Hopefully you guys find it useful. Leave me comments. Let me know if you have questions, and subscribe to my channel. Thanks, everybody.